Hi, and welcome to another episode of the New Ray Media Show. We are very happy to be doing a lot more podcasts this final quarter of this year and talking to a lot of CPG owners. And for this episode, we are honored to have Paige here. She is Sales and Marketing Manager at Peace River Honey, and we're going to be discussing the highs, lows of running a family business and everything you need to know about bees and honey. Paige, can you tell us how you got into the honey business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a family-owned business, and we're actually located in the honey capital of Canada. It's a little town called Falher, Alberta. And so when my dad was 14, his summer job was extracting honey for a local beekeeper, which sounds like a crazy summer job, but it's a very normal thing to do when you live in the honey capital of Canada. And so when he was 14, he really fell in love with it. And then my grandfather, he convinced him to buy him 50 beehives. And so that's really where he got started. So when he was 16, my dad had these 50 beehives that he got from his dad, my grandpa, and the rest is kind of history. And so for the longest time, we were bulk honey producers, bulk beekeepers. And then in 2006, my mom and dad together decided to branch out into the world of retail food as a way to add value to the honey that we were producing on our beekeeping operation. So kind of hit the ground running from there, started with the Honey Bunny brand. So all of our products were packaged in a stand-up reusable pouch, which was really cool. After that, in 2008, we branched out into barbecue sauce and ketchup, using the honey from our apiary to sweeten the products. And then from there, we converted most of the products to jars because we found that honey in a stand-up pouch didn't work great. But the barbecue sauce and ketchup were still in the stand-up pouch. And then in 2016, launched our Peace River Honey brand. And that's what's best known across Canada today. And the reason behind the brand is really to connect consumers to the source of their honey. So bringing them right back to the honey capital of Canada where everything's made, kind of showing them which family is making their products, which is ours, the bees, and really on social media, we take them behind the scenes to what's going on our apiary. And that's the company in a nutshell.
So you think you were pulled into the business right off the bat because it's a family business, or did you have a period where you're like, am I going to go my own route or am I going to join the business, family business? How did that look for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been born into the business. I've been in the business really for 26 years. Once I graduated high school, I went to university. So I took a Bachelor of Commerce in Finance and Accounting. And then it came time to decide what I wanted as a career. And my dad was like, do something else. Like, don't come work in the family business. Like, you want to spread your wings. And I was like, no, I think I really want to do this. Like, it really interests me. And so finally I convinced him to let me come and work with him. So it's been 4.5 years that I've been officially working in the family business. And my siblings actually work here as well. So my brother's in operations and my sister's in procurement and logistics. And same thing there. So my sister's background is actually in special effects makeup. She went to makeup artistry school in Vancouver. And then my brother's background is in oil and gas. So he took power engineering in college, and he worked a bit in the gas plant. And so he joined a year after my sister and I. And same thing, it took a lot of convincing, but we got my dad to agree to let us join him. And it's been a lot of fun. We love working together every day.
No, I bet. I'm a big believer in family businesses. Yeah. My mom and I own 2 together, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Make it work. It's great. It definitely, you got to make sure you're communicating well with one another. And what's nice about our family business is my strengths are different from my brother and sister's strengths, and vice versa. Like, they're really good at the things that I'm really bad at. So it makes it a nice dynamic. We can kind of play on each other's strengths.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to spend time with your family because we spend our majority of our time at work.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. I think it's nice if you like your family. I guess we'll leave it at that.
Like during the pandemic, everyone was so far apart and stuff. So it was nice to be able to work with your family because then it's like you got to see your family and you got to work. So that was nice. You got a new appreciation for it during the pandemic.
I see that you guys have a strong online presence. Can you tell us a little bit about how you build that strategy and what's been the biggest challenge in growing that strategy?
Yeah, so our online presence is something that I'm really proud of. You can find us on almost every social media platform. So Instagram is our largest one. We're also on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, a little bit on YouTube, but you can pretty much find us everywhere. And what I love about it is it allows us to connect directly with our consumers and get that immediate feedback. So I'm actually the one that runs all of our social media accounts. So I get direct feedback from the customers. If they don't like something about the product, if they really like something about the product, I can bring that back to our team and then we can adjust quite quickly, which is really nice. And I've been working at building that presence for about 4.5 years now. I would say slow and steady wins the race with that. And it's something that we nurture like you would an in-person relationship. So we work with a lot of influencers online, and they've really become like friends, I guess. And the best way that I can explain it and tell people about it is it's like making an online friend that you really have to nurture, and you get to know about their lives and what's important to them. And then you can kind of support them in that. And then in turn, they support our products, which has been really great.
I've heard that a couple times now, that like as you start with a small business and you find that micro influencer and you grow together, and it just creates a good relationship as you both scale and grow together. So that's interesting. So maybe would you recommend, like what would you recommend a small brand when they're looking for influencers or micro influencers?
Yeah, so one of the influencer relationships that I'm the most proud of is our relationship with Foster Feasts. So it's a lady named Stephanie Foster based in Ontario, and she is very big in the grilling community. So she's got all of these cool grills and she's always making recipes. And so I reached out to her initially, probably 3-4 years ago now, and just asked like, hey, I love your page. I was a genuine follower for a long time and really knew what her page was. So I think that you'd like our products. Would it be okay if I sent them to you? If you like them and you want to share with your following, great. If not, I hope you enjoy it with your family. So I sent her the products. She ended up really liking them, which is important in an influencer partnership. They have to genuinely like and use your products. And then from there, the relationship just evolved. And she was actually there when we won the Canadian Grand Prix earlier this year on June 1st in Ontario. We invited her to join us, and it was our hot honey that had won the award. So that was great. Like, she was part of something that was so big in our business at the time, and she got to sit at the table with our family and our broker partners, and it was just so cool to share that with her. And she's really become somebody that's like family, something I'm really proud of.
That's really cool. I think that you definitely, the more and more I talk to people and marketing managers and people in charge of media, you have to have that natural, and I can see it on you, that natural, I don't know if a social butterfly or being able to connect and wanting to be half friends. You definitely don't want a numbers guy in the head of the marketing. It's just something I'm thinking. How are you guys handling showcasing the conservation side of beekeeping and that natural side, and presenting it to this, the audience, so they know what's going on because I think you said something familiar, that you can have a relationship now with your customers very easily, and you can pull back the curtains and show them what's happening behind the scenes, right?
Totally, that's a great question. So especially in honey, there's all this talk in Canada about adulterated honey and fake honey. So I think like pulling back the curtain, like you said, is so important, and really taking people into our apiary and our bee farm, introducing them to our beekeeping team. We have one beekeeper who's actually been with us for 28 years now. It's longer than I've been alive to even have been with the company. So we introduce our social media audience to, his name's Felix, online, and I'm like, Felix, what are you doing today? What are you working on in the bees? And video is really great for that now too, because it's not just a photo where you're explaining it. You can actually show them like, this is what's happening on the bee farm today, and really bring them back behind the scenes, which I love.
Did you find, or have you seen any direct effect on using video on your socials? Like, is it people are more invested in the company, into the brand, more buying, more, I don't know, like what's the result in that? Yeah,
our videos versus our photos get so much more engagement. I'm sure that's because of the algorithm, but if I post a recipe as a static photo versus if I post a reel of that exact same recipe, the reel will do 10 times better. People are actually commenting on it and then going out and buying the ingredients to make the recipe. So I found so much more engagement. I'm sure in part it's due to the algorithm, but it is translating into people making the recipes, which is the goal, is to have them use the products as we're showing them online.
Yeah, I like that. I think it was yesterday or the day before that, my wife was telling me like, oh, we need a recipe book so we can start trying recipes. And I'm like, I don't know. I like going on TikTok and seeing the whole process in like 60 seconds to see if I'm gonna be happy on the end result without committing on a page, okay, and getting all the ingredients and maybe I don't like it. So new tip for recipe books, put in a little QR code so we can see the TikTok video for the end result.
Totally, and then you kind of know better how to make it. Like if the recipe says stir for 30 seconds, but you're actually watching them stir it, like you just know how it's supposed to be, which I really like. People are very visual.
Yeah, exactly. Like in a range, like how many SKUs does your company carry and how do you handle this at a retail and e-commerce level?
So we have like 7 core SKUs, I would say, and then the SKUs beyond that are different pack sizes. So we've got the barbecue sauce and the ketchup. We have a creamed organic honey, a creamed conventional honey in different size jars. Then we do a liquid honey, a bee pollen, and most recently we launched a trio of spicy honeys called Peace River Hot Honey. So we have those in 3 flavors, hot, bourbon hot, and pineapple jalapeno. Because of where we're located, we're pretty far north in Alberta, and so shipping online is very difficult. It's expensive. Our post office is only open like 3 hours a day. We live in a really small town. Like there's a population of 40 people where we live. And so the post office can only justify being open for 3 hours a day. So online shopping from our own store is incredibly difficult for us to execute. So we work with online partners like well.ca is a really great one for us. And then a little bit on Amazon to supply the customers that like to buy online. And then we work directly with the retail partners to have a lot of brick and mortar stores where they can go in and purchase. And what we've noticed, especially during the pandemic, is that a lot of those brick and mortar retailers have shifted to an online presence of their own. So for example, you can find our products at Walmart in store, but then Walmart will also have them on walmart.ca. So it's a great way where they can shop online or shop in store, depending on their preference, without us having to handle a lot of the logistics of trying to get to the post office and the cost of shipping and what to do with that. So
I like that. So you're seeing a lot more brick and mortars acting almost like warehouses, right, for your product?
Yeah, exactly, which has been nice because then you can offer both of those things in a way that's efficient and economical to the customer. You
said you've officially started like around 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And that was in the marketing department?
Yeah, so I've always kind of done like our sales and marketing. I'm the only one in the department. And then we also work with broker partners to kind of be our feet on the ground throughout the country. But yeah, that's my role as sales and marketing manager here. What
kind of advice would you give yourself in the very first, now that you're 4 years in, to Paige a month into the job, sales and marketing? I
think with marketing especially, people don't think of numbers when they think of marketing, but I do think that it is important to quantify where you're at and where you want to go so that you know how you're doing. So it can be your roadmap. So set sales goals for yourself and be really specific about which SKU at which retailer, and set the same goals on the marketing side. So what's your social media following now? What do you want to get to? How is it growing? Are you doing the right things? Did your audience really like when you posted something and it performed really well? Or vice versa. That way you can adjust. Like I think when you think marketing, you think the creative side, but there is a lot of quantifiable parts that go into it that I think are really important to measure so you can measure your success.
Is there any, now that you have some sort of following, is there any tactics that you take to keep the community engaged?
Yeah, so we like to collaborate with local businesses that are aligned with our values to offer giveaways to our audience. We try to do that once a month as a way to both collaborate with a local business and kind of share with their audience, but also to thank the followers that we do have as a way to say, like, you guys are great followers, so thank you for that, and we want to reward this. The other thing I would say is the influencer piece. So having real relationships with the influencers that you work with is really important. It's not just a one-time exchange and then you set it and forget it. You do have to put time and effort and energy into it and be engaging with their content and making sure that they're well taken care of by your brand. I'd say those are the two biggest things: collaborating with local businesses on giveaways and then nurturing your relationship with influencers.
I think before we wrap it up, I've been asking this question to everybody and I'm really liking it. What is a brand in your childhood that stands out completely? Like maybe it was a product or a commercial you saw and it just stuck with you and until now it has some sort of special feeling for you. And why? Why do you think it stuck to you?
So I loved when you asked this question to Revita, and so I kind of thought you might ask it. So I've been thinking and racking my brain on what a brand for my childhood is. And I came up with one. It's not necessarily for my childhood at all, but it's a brand that I absolutely love. And it's Smack Dab Mustard. They're based out of Manitoba. They have the most amazing mustard. It is in the most beautiful jars. I think I have 9 flavors at my house. I buy them all. Like, one person does not need this much mustard, but you do need this much mustard. So not necessarily for my childhood, but they do an awesome job. Founded by a Red Seal chef, woman owned and operated. And I just think it's the coolest company. How did you discover it? And what do you think made you purchase, that pushed you over the edge? So I think I first discovered it through the program called Awesome, which is a platform based out of Saskatchewan for women food entrepreneurs. And I think the founder, Carly, had spoken at one of the virtual events. I want to say that's how I first discovered them. So I went online and researched about them and I was like, this is so cool. Like, it sounds amazing. And then placed an order. I got their holiday pack, so little jars so I could try them all. And the product was so good. So I've just been ordering and I've been a customer for 2 years now. I really like them. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we round it up and close it up? No, I think that covers it. It's a lot of great questions. If people want to find us online, we'd love to have them follow along on our journey. You can find us at Peace River Honey on most major social media platforms. And we'd love to have them join us and join our community there. Awesome. Thank you, Paige. Thank you for taking the time and answering all these questions for us. Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. All right. You have a great day. Thanks, Alex. Thanks. Bye.